Hello viewers, in this video I am going to explain the runtime environment of compiler design subject. What is runtime storage? The memory space required for executing the program is called runtime storage. That means during the execution of the program it occupies some memory space. It occupies some space in the memory. That memory space is called runtime storage. This runtime storage usually holds the target code, for example exe code, data objects memory allocation, and also control stack, which keeps track of procedures or function calls execution. The subdivision of the runtime storage contains code area, static data area, heap area, and stack area. So here heap area and stack area can grow and shrink dynamically. Remaining these two, code area and static area, will not grow and shrink during the program execution, whose size is fixed at compile time, and same thing is going to be followed during execution. What is code area? The target code of the program to be executed is placed in runtime storage area called code area. That means when you are executing a C program, then the exe code, the exe file is loaded from disk into the main memory space. That memory space is called code area. So after that, the processor can fetch each instruction from this code area, interprets the meaning, and executes each operation with the help of CPU. The size of the generated target code is fixed at compile time, and it is placed in the statically determined area called code area. Means the size of the exe code is not changed during the program execution. Second, static data area. The data items whose size is known at compile time are placed statically area called static data area. That means in C language, if we create ordinary variables like arrays, integers, integer variable, floating point variable, char variable. So for all such variables, the memory is going to be allocated in the static data area. Example 1 says that all data items in Fortran language are allocated in static data area only, and all data variables except dynamic memory allocation of C language are going to be allocated in static data area. That means all the variables which are not allocated by malloc function, are going to be stored in static data area. Next one, stack area. The main purpose of the stack area is to keep track of the function calls execution during the runtime. So the concept of control stack is used to manage the activation procedures, or to the active procedures or active functions. So how many functions are in active state, how many functions are running at this time, you can easily find from the stack area. So when a procedure call occurs, that means when a function calls another function, then the calling procedure means the procedure that makes a call to another. The procedure that makes a call to another is called calling procedure. Execution is interrupted, and information about the status of the mission is saved on the stack area in activation record format. So when a function execution started, for that it creates one activation record and stores in the stack area, and the corresponding information is going to be updated and stored till the execution of that procedure completes. See here, when a new activation record is created for a called procedure and pushed onto the stack. So here one function calls another function. The called function purpose, one activation record is created and pushed onto the stack area, and this activation record is stored, is available in the stack area until its execution completes. That means after completion of called function execution, the control returns, the calling function execution, control returns, and the calling function execution is restarted. That means once the called function is execution is completed, its activation record is removed from the stack area and returns the control to the calling function. For example, the implementation of languages like Pascal and C use this control stack area to manage the execution of functions. Next, last one, heap area. Heap area holds all dynamically allocated variables information. For example, in C language we allocate memory using malloc and malloc functions. So for all such variables, the memory is going to be allocated, the space is going to be allocated in heap area. Here the size of the stack and the heap area are not fixed, can grow and shrink, depends on the requirement of the program execution. Static versus dynamic memory allocation. Static allocation represents the allocation of data items whose size is known and fixed at compile time. Means it represents the allocation of static data variables like ordinary variables, whereas the dynamic allocation represents the allocation of data items whose size is known only at runtime. That means all the variables that are going to be created using malloc function in C language are stored in the following the dynamic allocation technique. So many compilers use both techniques, dynamic allocation, static allocation. So static storage is used for all ordinary variables usually, and heap storage is used for data items that are allocated dynamically at runtime. Second topic, static allocation of space. So as I told you earlier, the stack space, stack area or stack space or control stack purpose is to manage and control the execution of function calls during the program runtime. So the stack allocation of space concept is used to manage the execution of functions at runtime. The stack space is managed by the using the following concepts: activation tree, activation record, calling sequence, variable length data on stack. Let us see the first one, activation tree. So activation tree represents the sequence and relationships between caller and called functions. So in a program or during the program execution, number of functions are going to be called. One function can call another function. So this may have huge number of calls also. So which function is called by which function? So all such information is maintained in the tree structure known as activation tree. So activation tree represents the way the control enters and leaves the procedure activations. So we will draw a tree, suppose tree structure where the information is available in the hierarchical format, and there is a root node, branch node, leaf nodes, like that. So in this activation tree, each node represents an activation of a procedure. So in this activation tree, each node represents an activation of a processor. When an activation means the execution of the processor. The root node represents the activation of the main function. So normally every program contains one main function. So that is going to be executed first when I execute the program. So for that reason, the root node always represents main function. The node A is the parent for node B if and only if the control flows from activation A to B. That means when a function A calls B function, then only A is the parent for the B node. Last one. The node A is the left child of node B if and only if the lifetime of A occurs before the lifetime of B. Suppose for a node, say for example X, left child is A and right child node is B, suppose, imagine. In this case, what does it mean? Means A is called before the occurrence of B. So A function is called before the function call of B. That is the meaning. Take one example, quicksort algorithm. So here there are many functions: read array, partition, quicksort, and main function. So as usually, the program execution starts from main function. So when a program execution started, one activation record is created and that is pushed onto the stack area. Okay, that is one activation record information about the stack area. So here just we are not talking about that, just we are representing which function calls which one using the tree structure. So main function calls. So main is the root node. Main is the root node. Next, main function calls read array function. So main function calls read array function. Next, after completion of this call, so you see here the logic. So after completion of this read array function call, it is going to execute some statements. After that, it starts quicksort. So after that, it starts another function called quicksort. Okay. So see here, the quicksort function is a recursive function. It can make a call to itself also, or it can call other functions also. So see the logic of quicksort. So quicksort function first calls partition function. Thereafter it calls again quicksort with two parameters, that is m comma I minus 1, and another time quicksort of I plus 1 comma n. So in this way, tree structure is going to be generated to represent what are the active procedures, or in which way the functions are called during the program execution. So this is represented using the tree structure called activation tree. See the calling sequences. So here main function started. So main function calls read array function. After some time, after execution of read array function, it leaves the read array. So read array function execution completed. That means main function calls read array. After that, it calls quicksort function. After that, the quicksort function calls partition function using some parameters, and it is completed. After that, it calls quicksort function using some number of parameters, some values as a parameters, so on and so on. This calling sequences, so which function calls which one, are represented in the form of tree structure. See here. So the activation tree represents how the function calls are made, which function called which one during the program execution. So it is the main function. First of all, main function calls read function. After that, it calls quicksort function with parameters 1 comma 9. After that, it calls partition function p of 1 comma 9, and after that it calls the quicksort function with 1 comma 3 parameters. After that, it calls the function quicksort 5 comma 9. So this one proceeds. Suppose if I start here again, in this case it calls the partition 5 comma 9 and calls q quicksort of 5 comma 5, again calls quicksort of 7 comma 9, and so on. So these calling sequences, which function calls which one, is represented in the tree structure. This is called activation tree. Second one, activation record. The information needed by a single execution of a function is managed using contiguous block of storage called activation record. That means information about the function execution, including all the things, what are the parameters it takes, or what are the return values, or who is the caller of this function, what are the temporary variables going to be created in this function. So all the things will be represented in the form of activation record. Activation record also called frame. Each live function have an activation record. So the activation record is available in the stack area only when the function is in execution. If its execution is completed, immediately its activation record is going to be removed from the stack area. The current execution path specified by stack represents the recently activated function activation record in the top of the stack. So what is on top of the stack means the function that is called recently, most recently, is placed on top of the stack. The contents of activation record may have the following fields: temporary variables, local data, saved mission status, access link, control link, returned values, actual parameters. So temporary variables holds information or the variables created during the manipulation of the data values in the function code are called temporaries. So local data means the function may have its local variables whose values are kept in the local data. Saved mission status, that means before the occurrence of this function call, what is the mission status, that is stored in the mission status field, so that after completion of this function call it is going to back to the previous state. Next, access link. So access link represents the global variables that can be accessed by the current function. Control link represents address of the activation record of the caller function. So this function is called by whom, whose address is kept in the control link. Return values, that means this function will return what kind of values, all will be stored in the return values field. Next, actual parameters. So what are the parameters actually passed by the caller function to this function are stored in the field called actual parameters. See one by one. So temporary variables are used during the evaluation of expressions. So during the evaluation of expressions, the function may use temporary variables. All are stored in the temporaries field. Next, local data. It is the data that is local to the execution of the processor. So if the processor or function having local variables, whose data will be stored in this field. Next, saved mission status. This field holds information regarding the status of the mission just before the processor is called. So before calling this processor, what is the status of the mission, so that after completion of this function it can go back to the previous state. That is called saved mission status. So this field contains the mission registers and program counter value. Next, access link. It refers to non-local data that can be accessible by the present function. So it refers to global data in other activation records that is needed for the current procedure call execution. Okay, it is also called static link. Next, control link. it points to activation record of calling procedure. So suppose main function calls add function. Imagine. So in this case, main function is called caller function and add function is called called function. So when we are talking about add function activation record, it stores the address of activation record of the main function. That is called control link. That means it points to the activation record of the calling procedure or caller procedure. This link is called dynamic link. Next, actual parameters represents the parameters that are actually passed by the caller. Return value stores the return value of the function call. Calling sequences. The procedure calls are implemented by the concept called calling sequences. So calling sequences consists of code that allocates an activation record on the stack and enters information into fields. That means the calling sequences may represent that the activation record creation and updating the values in the activation record corresponding elements. The code in a calling sequence is often divided between calling procedure and callee procedure. Calling procedure and callee procedure. So calling means the procedure that makes a call to another is called calling procedure. Next, the procedure that is being called is called callee procedure. So the code in the calling sequence represents about the calling procedure and the callee procedure. So when designing calling sequences and the layout of the activation records in the stack area, the following principles are helpful. First one, the values communicated between caller and callee are generally placed at the beginning of the callee's activation record so that they are as close as possible to the caller activation record. So the callee data values are placed at the beginning of the its activation record so that these are very close to the caller. It can access if needed. Second, fixed length items are generally placed in the middle. Such items typically include the control link, access link and the mission status. So these fields are stored in the middle location of the activation active record. Next, items whose size may not be known early enough are placed at the end of the activation record. Last one, we must locate the top of the stack pointer if necessary to access the stack or stack space. So it is a last in first out data structure. So to access the stack we have to use the top of the stack, accordingly access the topmost element in the stack. The division of the this activation records information between caller and callee is shown below. So this is the caller activation record. So caller. This is the callee activation record. This is the callee activation record. Callee. This is caller. So the function that makes a call to another function is called caller function. The function that is being called is called callee function. So see here, this is the caller function. So caller function information is stored in the stack using activation record. This is the activation record of the caller function. Next, this is the callee function. So callee function related parameters and return values are accessed by the caller function. So the data that is accessible to the caller function are placed near to the caller activation record in this form. Next, variable length data on the stack. in the stack area, the data may be sometimes related to variable length records, variable length data also. In variable length data format, the memory space is allocated for a variable depending on the value assigned to it. So for a variable, how much memory is going to be allocated means it depends on the value being assigned. So depends on the value being assigned, we can change the memory space of a variable. For example, in PLSQL, variable length data can be declared using this format, varchar of 10 equal to hello. So actually array size is it is a varchar of type of 10 characters. Its size is usually 10, but when I am trying to store hello string of 5 characters, here storage allocated only for 5 bytes, not for 10 bytes, because it is a variable length data type. So the maximum size is 10, but minimum, that is depending on the value being assigned. So value being assigned contains only 5 characters, so memory is going to be allocated only for 5 bytes. Memory allocation. In variable length data format, memory space is allocated by pointer notations. We will see pointer notations. So what is the pointer notation means? Suppose see here, this is actually activation record of P. Activation record of P. So see here, here A is a variable length data. So it's a pointer where exactly this the allocation takes place is here, whose pointer is available on the activation record, so that it can access whenever needed by referring the corresponding address. So this is the storage process, storage mapping process for variable length data. Suppose a processor P has 3 variables, 3 arrays A, B, C, to which variable length data is assigned. Suppose imagine a processor P has 3 arrays A, B, C. All are variable length data. Next, processor P calls another processor Q. So P calls Q. That also has 2 arrays of variable length data. In this scenario, after processor P calls processor Q, then the storage allocation is shown below. So P is the processor that contains 3 variable length data items, arrays, variable length data arrays. So in the activation record itself, it contains only addresses of the locations where the corresponding variable length data is stored, whose address is maintained here, but not actually data. So array data will be stored somewhere whose address is stored here, pointer to A. Similarly, pointer to B means it represents the address of the array B, where exactly the data is available. So this is the format of variable length data representing storage in the activation record. So here the storage for local arrays of processor P is not part of the activation record of processor P. So here A is actually belonging to activation record of P, but whose storage does not belongs to activation record, is placed aside, is placed outside in the activation record, but whose point is maintained in the activation record, that we are saying here. So the storage for local arrays of processor P is not part of the activation record of processor P. Only a pointer to the beginning of each array appears in the activation record. The relative address of these pointers are known at compile time, so the target code can access array of elements through the pointers. Activation record of processor Q begins after the arrays of P. See here, this is the activation record of P and allocation for variable length data of P. After that only the activation record of Q is going to be placed in the stack area, that we are saying. So activation record of processor Q begins after the array of P, and variable length arrays of processor Q are stored after the activation record of Q as previous. Next, access to data on stack is done through two pointers, top and top SP. So top represents the actual top of the stack. It points to the position at which the next activation record will begin. So topmost activation record can be found by using top variable, whereas top SP is used to find the local array of the data. Suppose the processor P contains variable length of data whose addresses can be found using top SP. So in this video I have explained you these things: storage organization and stack allocation of space. The remaining topics will be discussed in the next coming video. Thank you.